Welcome to Learn as You Grow, the podcast where we grow every day in every way, sharing gardening tips, ideas, and inspiration to help you cultivate your best garden and self. Let's talk about filling raised beds. Whether you have short, tall, rectangular, or round beds, how to calculate the soil you'll need for filling, and a variety of material options. Knowing what you're going to put in that bed is super important because that determines the soil layer, how big, how many inches of soil you actually need. So let's talk about some plants and the inches of root space that they require. Okay. Now, some perennials, herbs, and leafy greens can grow in 6 inches of soil, and the rest can be filler. And we'll talk about filler next. But here, if you're looking at garlic, onions, chives, lettuce, Brussels sprouts, spinach, corn, cabbage, radish, or strawberries, those plants have a 12 to 18 inch root, so they need 12 to 18 inches of good, healthy soil. Next, we have 18 to 24 inch root plants: beans, peas, cantaloupe, squash, eggplants, carrots, turnips, beets, potatoes. Then you have your 24 to 36 inch roots: artichokes, asparagus, parsnips, rhubarb, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, and watermelons. Understand that if you have a short bed, you're just going to need to build up good soil, and your plants are going to need all of that root space. But if you have one of those 2 to 3 foot tall beds where it's like up to your waist, you can put filler in the rest of the bed. Just understand what root system you're going to need. Also understand, when we're building these beds, what are the pests in the ground in your area? Do you have voles, moles, gophers, armadillos, groundhogs near your growing space? You may need to lay down 1/4 inch hardware cloth at the base of the bed before you put your fillers in. Let's break down the materials you can use. There's different layering techniques for raised beds. There's hugelkultur, which starts with a base layer of cardboard. Then you add organic materials like sticks, logs, branches, which are helpful for drainage and reduce the amount of soil you need. After the years go by, they will break down, so there's going to be settling, and you're going to need to add soil to the top each year. There's a middle layer, a mix of leaves, leaf mold, grass clippings that are dried, and kitchen scraps. And then the top layer is however many inches you need for the roots that you want to grow. So you can take some native soil and mix it with some compost for nutrient density, because we want those microbes and that specific biology in your area. You can throw in biochar, worm castings. Many gardening stores sell bags of all of these things, and they even sell bags of raised bed blends. It just depends on how much do you want to spend to fill the beds. You can even make your own blend by taking coconut coir or peat moss and adding that to soil to retain moisture. And I've seen rice hulls be suggested, and I looked up what rice hulls are, and they seem very expensive. There's also lava rock that acts like perlite, and vermiculite that provides drainage. Again, like you choose. I've added sand to help with drainage before because we have unlimited amounts of sand. Then there's the core gardening method. The core garden method uses straw bales as the main material to fill a raised bed. Now, what I see that being problematic is that settling that happens throughout the year. I feel like that's going to break down really quick. Now, there are hotbeds, and I'm wondering if that would be a hotbed where, as that material is composting, it creates heat and your soil is warmer sooner. But I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with actually doing that. Then there's the lasagna method. You lay your raised bed on top of cardboard and follow up with few layers of green and brown matter. So let's talk about what green matter is and brown matter. The green matter is the living tissues from kitchen scraps, compost, and composted animal manure. So with animal manure, we have to say there's a difference between hot manure and cold manure. Your cold manure you can add directly to plants and it's not going to burn them. So That's your bunny rabbit poop for sure. Now, hot manure, like cow and horse and chicken, needs to sit and age and heat up and have microbes eat at it before it's safe to grow in. Now, the other caveat with this is for those cows and horses, what they're eating in hay. You need to know if that hay has been sprayed with a broadleaf pesticide, because if it has, and then they eat it, it's the residue from that is still in their manure, and it's going to it's not going to let your garden grow anything. It's going to cause an issue for you. And ways to test this, if the farmer doesn't know, is you take some of that compost and mix it with some soil and you plant some beans in it. And if the beans start to grow and die, that tells me that that's contaminated soil, that compost. So back to green matter. We talked about living tissues from kitchen scraps, compost, and composted animal manure. Your brown matter is the next layer. It comes from small branches and twigs, dried grass clippings, dead materials like the dried shredded leaves. So you would be working with layers in that. When you're working with tall beds, these layers can save you time and money because you don't need to fill the entire bed with expensive soil. For short beds, you're going to skip the coarse base layer and focus on just nutrient rich soil because you need all of that real estate for those roots to go through, right? If you've filled your raised bed and you have ideas for materials, please drop them down below. We'd love to hear from you. Then there's the calculating the soil type part, and everything's cubic feet, cubic inches, the volume of the space is when you read a dirt bag, right? A soil bag. You take length times width times height to equal volume. Now, there's plenty of calculators online to help you do this. You just research in your search engine, how much soil do I need? And it'll walk you through that. If you have a round bed, the formula is different. Pi times radius squared times height. So pi is 3.14, radius is half the diameter, squaring that and then times the height. Again, there's things online to help you figure it out, and you can even eyeball it. There's ways to get things for free. So around here, there's different people that are doing a project and they dig out a bunch of soil and they're giving away for free because they don't need it. They're doing a construction project. Now, do you know what's in that soil? No. Is it just a basic top layer of soil? Right. Yeah. It's not nutrient dense. So you could take it and mix it with amendments like we spoke about before, your biochar, your worm castings, your kitchen scrap compost. If you have a clean source for animal manure that's composted correctly. And there you go. There's even places that have like a city transfer station where they have people from town bring in their compost and they pile it up. And they might have a day where you could go and fill up buckets for free, or a truckload or a trailer load's worth. So look into those types of things if you want. Now, there is a risk with that. You don't know what they sprayed on their grass clippings or what happened in their environment and then brought that to the transfer station to compost. It is a bit risky. If you can make your own, think about making your own this year for next year, that would be best. You can collect your neighbor's kitchen scraps and you can collect your neighbor's leaves and pile it up and have that breaking down all year. So next year you have your own set of compost, right? Soil can be very pricey. So to maximize your budget, you can mix your own, combining garden soil with compost, coconut coir, and peat moss to create a balanced mix. Usually when you buy things in bulk, soil and compost, you save money if you have the ability to do that. Buy it by the yard. Using the organic waste really helps fill up the base layer with materials you already have, like the branches and the leaves and the shredded cardboard. And then don't forget, once your beds are planted, to mulch. Mulching with dried grass clippings or seedless straw or leaves to lock in moisture, or chop and dropping old plants to protect the roots from extreme temperatures and those microorganisms. We don't have a healthy soil without those microorganisms. So don't forget to follow Learn as You Grow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. Leave a review, share it with a fellow gardener, and don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Shawnee Grows, for even more tips and live streams. You can chat with me live there. Check out the show notes for a link. And until next time, grow every day in every way.